Hi, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Dersham. Today in writing, we're going to jump right into continuing to write our argument essay. Yesterday, you learned about a claim and what a claim is, and you learned that your claim is your position. Today, you're going to be taking your claim and your reasons, and again, your reasons supported your claim, and we're going to be diving into the text, should there be zoos, to help you find evidence to support your reason and your claims. So here we go. I know the difference between a direct quote and paraphrasing, and I use them as evidence to support my claim. So everything in your writing goes back to supporting your claim. Your claim is the top of the paper. Everything comes back to that claim. As a reminder, we talked about this already. We've learned about what a claim is. The claim is the writer's stance, the position, how they feel. Your reasons were the big ideas from the different articles that you read to support your position. Today, we're going to be using evidence to support those reasons. Evidence is facts. It can be direct quotes. It can be a paraphrased section that proves our claim to be true. We have two different sides, two different charts that we're going to be looking at today. On the left-hand side, it says 2 ways to use evidence from a text. And we have paraphrasing and direct quotes. Paraphrasing is when you write the evidence from the text in your own words. So you read something and then you use your words to rephrase it. It's kind of like a summary. No quotation marks are needed when you paraphrase because they are your words. And an example, it says, according to the author, dolphins are able to communicate with one another. This is just one sign of their intelligence. On the right-hand side, the direct quote shows that you're using exact words. You're borrowing somebody else's words. Okay? When you borrow somebody else's words, in order to do it in a legal way, you need to make sure that you include quotation marks around the words that you've borrowed. If you don't, it's called plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you borrow someone else's words and you don't give credit to them for their work, for their words. So you are allowed to borrow somebody else's words in your writing as long as you give credit to the people whose words they belong to. So quotation marks are needed around the words that you borrowed. The author writes, dolphins have sophisticated communication capabilities that allow them to exchange information with other members of their pod. So that had a lot of big vocabulary words. And sometimes when I read a sentence and I'm researching, if a sentence is worded in a really perfect way, a lot of times I'll just lift that sentence out and stick quotation marks around it and let the reader know that this is borrowed from another writer's article, but it was worded so beautifully, I just wanted to keep it the way it was. If I wanted to go that route, I would use a direct quote. So today we're going to focus on paraphrasing. And on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a chart, and this is a paraphrase. This is a strategy to help us paraphrase. This is called STP. STP stands for stop, think, paraphrase. The stop means that you have to stop reading, you cover the text with your hand. The next step is to think. You got to use that brain. Okay? You have to think about what it was that you just read. And then the P is you paraphrase it. You put it in your own words. You retell yourself what it was that you just read about. So STP is a strategy that we use to help us paraphrase. Sometimes when I'm reading and I'm trying to paraphrase a part of the text, I realize that I get stuck. Chart on the right, it says you want to reread the text. You want to look at, you want to look for keywords. You want to be able to reorganize the words in the sentence. Just because the author wrote it one way doesn't mean that you should write it that way. You can change the order of the sentence around. You can use synonyms. So a lot of times, when I get to a section of the text that I know I'm going to want to use, I'll have to reread it a couple times. Then I cover it up, I think about what it said, and then I say it back to myself using my own words. That's how you paraphrase. Moving forward, and here I have page 2 in your graphic organizer for your writing piece, and I have borrowed the reasons from yesterday. This was, again, I have 2 different positions. Some of you are in favor of zoos and some of you are against the idea of zoos. So this is my in favor of zoos slide. Here it says, animals are endangered or extinct due to the growth of the human population. I found a section in that article, and that was my first article, my first source. I found a section that was worded really nicely, but I decided I wanted to put this section in my own words. So I put quotation marks around the text that I lifted off of the page. It says, who's to blame? We are. The global human population of almost 6 billion is increasing by about 85 million each year. As our species takes over wildlife habitats, other species are threatened and in many cases lost. I really like that part. It talks about how the population of people are getting bigger and bigger and more. And as we grow, we're taking up more and more space and land. And that space or that land belong to animals. And we're really taking over their space. Did you see what I just did? I just re-explained to you that section. I didn't look at the text. I read it, I thought about it, and then I re-explained it in my own words. That's what I'm going to type on the right-hand side over here. So I'm going to type something like, the human population continues to grow. The more people we have on our planet, the more space is needed. So animal habitats are shrinking and being destroyed. Boy, I like that. I did a good job. I'm gonna pat myself on my back. All right, moving down to my other position. If you are against zoos, this was one that I found. This was in the second source. This is supporting my zoochosis. Zoochosis is a mental illness that is really hurtful and damaging to animals who are living in captivity. So here I lifted this text right out of my article, my second source about zoochosis. It says there are many aquatic animals that are taken from their natural habitats and placed in water tanks in aquariums around the world. These animals are separated from their families and are forced to live in groups that are nothing like their own families. You know, I'm stopping, I'm thinking, and I'm stuck. Oh, what were those strategies? I'm going to go back to the chart. What if I'm stuck? I reread the text. I look, what does it say here? I look at the first, oops, what did it say? I can't see it with my face in front of it. I look at the first or last line. I find key words, that's my favorite one. I can change the order around, or I can use synonyms. Now, my favorite part is using keywords. So I'm going to hop back over to the text one more time. And you're going to have that problem too, where you're going to get stuck. So I'm going to reread, and this time I'm going to highlight. I'm going to notice part of the text that really pops out at me. There are many aquatic animals. So I'm going to highlight aquatic animals. Ooh, yellow and blue. That's a really bad combination. Hold on. Sorry for all my Michigan fans. Go green. There are many aquatic animals that are taken from their natural habitats. So I'm gonna highlight taken, because that's another key word to me. They're taken, they're removed. Oops, that's not the highlighter. All right. Aquatic animals taken from habitats. That's another key word to me. And placed in water tanks and aquariums around the world. These animals are separated. So I'm gonna place aquariums. So they're taken from their homes and they're stuck in these aquariums around the world. These animals are separated. There's the word separated. I like that one too. From their families and forced to live in groups. That are nothing like, and I'm going to leave it like that. Forced to live in, I'll do that too. Okay, so using those words, I'm going to now stop and think and figure out how I can word this in my own way. I'm going to also put a tag on this. As described in the text, aquatic, that's not aquatic, aquatic animals are often removed from their homes and separated from their family. They are put into tanks and expected to live their lives with other animals that are not like their own families. All right, I feel pretty good about that. So going back to our goal. Today, our focus was that you know the difference between a direct quote and paraphrasing, and that you're able to use evidence, which is quotations and paraphrased sections, to support your claim or your position. I hope that today, when you're finishing up your second, third, and fourth slides, that you are feeling good about being able to lift some information out of the text that supports your reason, and then that you're able to put it into your own words using the STP strategy. Stop, think, and paraphrase.